You're sitting on a train. Someone across the aisle is looking at you, not glancing. Looking. Your chest tightens before you even decide to feel anything. You tell yourself it's nothing, but the real answer is far stranger. Your brain is not reacting to a stranger on a train. It's reacting to something much older, something that lived in tall grass, something with eyes. Think about the last time you felt watched. Maybe you turned around in an empty parking lot. Maybe you sat up straighter in a meeting the moment your boss's eyes landed on you. That feeling isn't random. It's a circuit, and it's been running in your skull for millions of years. Here's what almost nobody realizes. Your amygdala, the almond-shaped alarm system buried deep in your brain, doesn't just detect danger, it detects direction. Specifically, it detects where eyes are pointing. Psychologist Reginald Adams and his colleagues ran an experiment that changed how scientists understood fear itself. They showed people faces with fearful expressions, some looking straight at the viewer, some looking off to the side. The amygdala lit up hardest, not when the fear was strongest, but when the gaze was direct. A fearful face looking right at you says one thing your ancestors couldn't afford to ignore. Something is coming, and it's coming from where I'm looking. That's the trick. Your brain treats a locked gaze as information about a threat, not just an emotion on a face. Why would evolution build something so specific? Because for most of human history, being looked at wasn't a social event. It was a survival event. Picture the world your body was actually built for. Not offices, not sidewalks, not glowing screens. Open savanna, dense tree lines, the kind of landscape where a lion could be 20 feet away and invisible until it wasn't. Anthropologist Sarah Blaffer Hrdy has argued that early hominins lived under constant predation pressure, hunted not occasionally, but routinely, by leopards, hyenas, and big cats that specialized in catching primates. In that world, eyes meant something. A pair of eyes fixed on you from the grass was rarely followed by good news, so your nervous system adapted. It didn't wait for proof. It didn't wait for claws. It reacted the instant it detected a gaze aimed at your body, because the cost of a false alarm was minor, and the cost of missing a real predator was death. Fast, cheap, paranoid. That's the design. Now here's the part that should stop you cold. That circuit never got the memo that the predators mostly disappeared. Your amygdala still runs the ancient program. It still treats a fixed gaze as a potential threat signal first, and a social cue second. This is why a stranger staring at you on the street can spike your heart rate before you've consciously registered why. This is why children instinctively freeze when an unfamiliar adult looks at them too long. This is why, in nearly every culture on Earth, prolonged eye contact from a stranger reads as aggressive, not friendly. Ever wonder why a wolf trainer will tell you never to stare a wild dog in the eyes? Your body already knew that. It just never told you the reason. There's a second piece to this story, and it comes from one of the strangest patients in the history of neuroscience. Neuroscientist Ralph Adolphs studied a woman known in research papers only as patient SM, whose amygdala had been destroyed by a rare genetic condition. SM could recognize happiness, sadness, and anger on a face without effort, but she consistently failed to recognize fear. When researchers tracked her eye movements, they found the reason. She simply didn't look at the eyes. The eyes are where fear lives on a human face. Without an amygdala pulling her gaze there automatically, she missed the signal entirely. Adolphs and his team found that when they explicitly instructed her to look at the eyes, her ability to read fear came back almost instantly. Sit with that for a second. Your amygdala isn't just an alarm bell, it's a compass. It physically pulls your attention toward the eyes of another creature, because for nearly all of human evolution, the eyes were the earliest available warning of danger. Before a growl, before a lunge, before a shadow moved, there were eyes, and they were already on you. This is also why you can feel watched in a crowd, but calm in solitude, even though solitude should logically feel more exposed. It isn't exposure your brain fears, it's attention. Specifically, the attention of another set of eyes locked onto your body. 100 strangers looking past you registers as background noise. One stranger looking directly at you registers as a signal. There's a reason this circuit didn't fade away once humans stopped sleeping in trees. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar has spent decades studying how human brains evolved for intensely social living in groups where status, alliance, and threat were tracked constantly through faces and eyes. Once Pertuis, That's why public speaking terrifies so many people more than almost anything else. It's not really about words or slides. It's about dozens of eyes converging on one point, all at once, and your amygdala reading that convergence the exact same way it would read a circle of watching predators. Your palms sweat, your throat tightens, your ancient alarm system doesn't know the difference between an audience and a hunting pack. So what do you do with a circuit this old and this literal? You can't switch it off completely, and you probably wouldn't want to. It's the same system that lets you sense when someone across a room has clocked you, the same one that makes eye contact during a genuine conversation, feel warm instead of hostile once trust is established. Context is what tames it. A direct gaze from a friend in a familiar setting reads as connection. The exact same gaze from a stranger in an unfamiliar setting reads as threat. Same eyes, same angle, completely different verdict, because your brain is constantly cross-referencing gaze with safety. Understanding this doesn't make the tightness in your chest disappear the next time a stranger stares too long, but it does change what that tightness means. It isn't weakness. It isn't social anxiety malfunctioning. It's a multi-million-year-old detection system doing exactly what it was built to do, just aimed at a world that mostly stopped needing it. Next time you feel the prickle of being watched, you're not overreacting. You're not imagining it either. You're running software written for a savanna, executed in a subway car. Your ancestors survived because that circuit fired first and asked questions never. Yours is just a little louder than it needs to be, in a world with far fewer things hiding in the grass. So the next time you're sitting on a train and someone across the aisle is looking at you and your chest tightens before you decide to feel anything, remember this. That's not a stranger's stare making you uneasy. That's a predator that vanished 10,000 years ago, still standing guard inside your skull, refusing to believe the grass is finally empty.